But then how do you end up in the Fed, though, from the GMHL? Because you were with the legendary, the iconic Battle Creek Rumblebees.
For 2 games.
2 games.
2 games.
Short and sweet. Part of the worst team in professional hockey history. It's actually an accomplishment that they had. They went 1-60?
I don't even know.
They hold the record.
Yeah, they hold
and
the
then you
record.
end up playing for the Delaware Thunder.
Well, Elmira first in COVID, which...
The Enforcers?
I mean, yeah, but I don't really count that. I was 20 years old, 4th string, all these coast guys and stuff that came down, and I was just there practicing. And I tore my groin that year, which sucked. But coming into the Fed, it was my 3rd year in the G. I didn't hear of the Fed until I got to the G, actually. And my goal in life was obviously like make it to the NHL, but to play pro hockey also. And whether that be like the A, the Coast, whatever that might be, they're like, yeah, there's the SP and the Fed. I'm like, the hell? Like, okay. And at the time, backtrack, my 1st year in Bradford, my boy Stefan Timofeyev, he's on Norfolk now. Perfect example. He came from the G, Fed, SP, and now he's a mainstay in the Coast. Went to A camps. And like, since I've met him when I was 17, 18 years old, whatever, I've been like, I'm gonna follow that dude. And whatever he does, I'm gonna do my damnedest to, you know, make my way to try to get to the point that he's at. And along that way, I've met other pro guys and NHL guys stepping into the pro hockey realm, and you know, me just being a damn sponge, I've been able to learn from all those guys that I've met and do things that work for me. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a ride for sure. So, but from the G to the Fed, like I said, I was in my 3rd year. The coach there ended up calling me and was like, hey, we need a goalie. I've heard about you. I forget how he said he heard of me or something, whatever. His coach's name is Adam Stio. Shout out to him for bringing me there. But he brought me in, and we were playing Danville, and for 2 games. I remember I started 1 game, we lost 3-2, but it was like their closest score they've had or some shit like that. And it was like 50-something shots, like whatever the case was, like 60 shots, whatever. And I don't think I started the next game, but I went in like from the 2nd period down, and I think I had a shutout, but we were already losing. But from that point, after that, their goalie came back from injury. I went back to Bradford to finish out junior. And then when COVID came out and all that shit, and the expansion draft with Elmira, every team, I guess, from the year prior had to put X amount of players on their list that those teams that were playing in COVID could draft. And sure enough, Battle Creek put me on the roster with the other starting goalie out of my 2 games that I played. And Elmira picked me up.
And then you played 1 game and then you tore the groin?
So I tore it right before training camp.
Okay.
And I forced myself to play a game which we won in a shootout, which was even worse. And ended up having to sit for a while.
You told me it was, what, 4 or 5 months? It's a long recovery?
I'm not even sure. I think that's how like the season how long the season lasted. But yeah, for that whole time, I had a bruise that was like just black and blue from here, and then turned yellow as it was healing and stuff. And it was just, yeah, it was probably some of the worst pain I've ever been in. So
just like sharp pain?
Not really being able to like push off of anything or recept onto that, like receive any pressure. It was just, yeah, it was a...
It affected your day-to-day life though, right? I would assume?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's a supporting muscle for walking around and...
Yep. It hurt when I sleep, it hurt with everything, so.
You can't roll over in the bed?
No,
that's the worst.
Stuff. Yeah, it was pretty bad at the time, but yeah, so.
And then you go to the Delaware Thunder with Mr. Pence.
Yeah. How'd
you end up there?
So I actually tried out for Binghamton, and they cut me. I was the last cut. It was kind of one of those things where everybody thought I was going to make the team, all this. You know, I haven't made a name for myself, playing 2 games in Battle Creek and only being with Elmire for COVID, you know, so nothing ever came about. And then, tried out for bingo, got cut. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to play college hockey. I'll just play ACHA Division I. I'll just go to school, have something to fall back on. Because at this point, I was just tired of things not going my way and not knowing. Obviously, like, if I knew now, or if I knew back then what I know now, I would have definitely, like, you know, suck it up, like, you'll be all right. Like, but then I was just like, I just want to play. Let me go to school.
But you're learning as well, right, as you're going through it?
All that stuff. So I applied to Grand Canyon U, just back out that way where my dad's from. Had all these things set up, and probably like a day before I was supposed to call like the academic advisor to get things set up, Charlie Pence calls me and was like, hey, our starting goalie's down. We're going to Carolina tomorrow. You want to come play for us? I was like, why not?
We do a hockey podcast called Sling the Biscuit every single Sunday. The clips, the bite-sized chunks are right here. Only the hits, the full-length show, which you don't want to miss, is right here. That's Dave. I'm Travis. We'll see you soon.